And welcome to another episode of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. My name's Tom Bump, and I'm your host. Thanks for joining me, my friends. The KMC is the podcast where we really empower children's and family ministry leaders to thrive in their roles. Today, in this episode, I want to dive into talking about some leadership insights that can really inspire and transform how you and I lead in ministry. These insights, I think, are going to guide us to creating nurturing and caring environments for kids, but also building up our teams into a healthy, strong unit that wants to build kingdom together. And as we work together, we're going to cultivate growth and kingdom impact in our communities. Before I dive into this week's episode, I do want to take a moment and thank the family at D6 Family. Their team has been so supportive of this podcast, and they are supporting this episode. And I want to thank them for that. I also want to invite you and your teams to come join me in April 2025 in sunny Orlando, Florida, for the 2025 D6 Southeast Conference. It is going to be an amazing, amazing time. Over 50 breakout sessions and 10 main stage thought leaders who are going to speak to and challenge your heart. This is a conference where you can bring your student pastor, your family pastor, your senior pastor, and they will benefit from it. What a great thing to get your entire team on the same page thinking about family discipleship and how you can do it better. But if you can't get your whole team there, get yourself there. In fact, you can use the code word restoring and get $50 off an individual ticket as a way just to get yourself in the room. I would love to see you there. I'm going to be speaking, coaching, and I'll have a ministry booth. And I would love to hear from you, my listener friends, if you would come to this conference and join me there. We're going to probably even have a hangout for KMC people. So don't worry about coming alone. You can join in the party that we're going to be having in April in Orlando. So come join us. We would love to have you join us there. All right, let's dive in and think about this. I was listening to a podcast. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. It was a business leaders podcast, but man, there was some quotes that just really stuck out with me. And so I'm actually going to take some of those quotes and I'm going to play them out in what it would look like for children's ministry leaders to put them into practice, because I think there's some really transformational truths here. One of the quotes was a very powerful perspective on our purpose. And I think a lot of leaders sometimes lose their sense of purpose, especially when seasons get hard. And I'm always telling people, look, you need to know and have a very powerful and compelling why. I was chatting with a young leader recently, and she shared with me a very powerful story. And I said to her, there's your why. There's your why. That's what's going to power you through the hard days, the challenging days, the days that you want to quit. You just remember that moment and what you were feeling and what you were thinking and how God used that to transform your heart into the heart of a leader. And this young leader is a fantastic young leader thinking deeply about things. And here's one of the thoughts that I have for all of us as leaders. It's this quote on purpose saying, I'm not being driven out of a place of scarcity, but I'm being driven out of a place of opportunity and out of a burden to help and an opportunity to make a difference. I know for so many of you, including myself, where at times we get caught in the scarcity mindset. And unfortunately, scarcity of a budget, volunteers, help, cause us to lose sight of the opportunities. And then we become overburdened and we miss the opportunity to make a difference because we get stuck in scarcity. I want us to be driven out of a place of opportunity and out of the burden to make a difference and use that as our fuel. The scarcity will drain you. Scarcity will keep you stuck. If you're constantly looking at what you don't have, you will find yourself uh, just missing the opportunities that are right in front of you. So I want to challenge you to be thinking about these kind of things. Instead of focusing on the limitations of a budget or lack of volunteers, let's focus on opportunity. These might be some of the new things. So think about some of the new things, new ways to engage children, new ways to support families, new creative strategies to leverage the resources and the team that you have. What will it take to build a thriving ministry in 2025 and beyond? Think about that for a moment. The only way you're going to find the creativity to move forward is to drive out scarcity and push through and push forward in a place and a mindset of opportunity and passion. Okay. Second quote that really struck me was on the truth for effective leadership. We all want to be effective in our leadership. We all want to make a difference. We all want our leadership to see us as effective leaders. And sometimes our fear of man and our people pleasing kicks in, and we mess this part up too. Guilty as charged. I often was, and I am a recovering people pleaser. And I had a big fear of men. I wanted to please them more than I wanted to please God. Yeah, that was me. Um, and I don't love admitting it, but it's the truth that I put what people thought ahead of what God thought, and that God had equipped me and called me to be a leader, and I can and would be effective if I would operate in what He has given me. You see, here's the thought that really struck me, though, because it's true. Self leadership always precedes team effectiveness, and team effectiveness always precedes organizational, or I'll say it this way, ministerial impact. Self leadership always precedes team effectiveness, and team effectiveness always precedes ministry impact. Think about that for a minute with me. You see, as children's ministry leaders, we often do put others first, but taking time out for personal growth and empowering us to lead others by example will be huge. See, we have to consider setting time aside each week for prayer, for reflection, and for learning. What are you learning lately? Who are you reading? Now, be careful. There's a lot of influencers out there today. There's a lot of people out there marketing children's ministry stuff today. And not all of them are real effective leaders. They're great marketers. Be careful. Use a filter. Check people out. We're supposed to be wise stewards of the investments that we make, right? So we want to make sure that as we're leading ourselves, we're careful who we're following. Make sure that the person that you're listening to, that you're signing up to take their courses or go to their conferences or whatever it is, read their books, that they have a track record of effective leadership. You see, one of the things that I do is I filter who I'm listening to. And I'm trying to be careful. And I know the platform that God has given me with this podcast. And I trust that I'm always being careful. And I work hard to make sure that I have the accountability in my world, to make sure that I'm leading well, that I'm stewarding the Kid Ministry Collective, the KMC, the KidMin Plus, Restoring Leaders, that I'm stewarding it well because I want to be a good example to all leaders in ministry, no matter what season they're in. But I want to help you. And one of the things that I've committed to even more in 2025 is helping leaders figure out how to lead themselves well so that they can see their team become even more effective. And because their team is being more effective, the ministry has greater impact. When I built the KidMin Plus community, KidMin Plus is a leadership community. If you haven't heard me talk about it before, it's a leadership community. It's a monthly membership where you can come and be in the room virtually with leaders. And we're talking about leadership issues. We're talking about how do we self lead? How do we draw out the best in our teams? How do we help our teams have greater ministry impact? We say it this way: healthy leaders lead healthy teams that build healthy ministries that have impact on their community and their world. So, how are you leading yourself? What are you going to do to strengthen your leadership so that you can pour into your team in a greater way and enhance their skills and leadership so that you grow a ministry that impacts every child and family that you encounter? Another significant aspect of leadership is how we interact with our teams. Again, this is something we talk a lot about and we'll be building more in 2025 with some of the courses we have in the Plus. But it says this: management meetings are a lot of telling, coaching sessions are a lot of asking. When you think about your team meetings, are you doing a lot of telling or are you doing a lot of asking? You see, I think some of our training and some of the problem we have with our teams is because we're telling them what to do. We're telling them to show up here. We're telling them to do this and that. And it becomes very transactional. Instead of saying, hey, what do you need? How can I help you become a better small group leader, Sunday school teacher? How can I help you grow in your faith? How can I help you with the kids that you're ministering to? You see, you could be asking questions like, what activities have you noticed really engage kids recently? Or how can we better support parents during a busy season, especially the holidays? You see, asking questions coaches the leaders and shows them that you care, and it fosters creativity and builds a sense of ownership and collaboration on your team. Do you want your team to stick around for the long haul? Let them own and collaborate. If you don't, if you're doing everything and you think, well, I have to do everything because nobody else wants to help, well, who have you personally looked in the eyes and said, would you like to help me? Or I could really use your help. You have this gift. You're better gifted at this than I am. See, we don't often like to admit that other people can do things better than we can. There's this insecurity thing inside of us. But you know what? I know how I'm wired and I know how I'm gifted. And again, I finally, when I broke through my fear of man and my people pleasing, I got real serious about who did God make Tom Bump to be? You can ask some of the people, the leaders that I coach right now. One of the things I'm constantly fostering inside of them is helping them realize that, hey, you got to get comfortable in your own skin and your own leadership style, and you can't copy somebody else. And that's why I don't tell them, well, this is how I did it, so you should do it this way. I don't ever say that to my coaching students because God has wired them uniquely. But I had to get over myself and get over my ego, get over my pride, and finally realize there's people that can do things way better than I can. I don't love administration stuff, organizational stuff. And you know what? There are people out there that are gifted and better at it than I am. And when I turned it loose and let them take it, wow, what a difference it made. In fact, when we think about coaching our leadership, when we think about building up our teams, I love this quote. I think what really needs to be in the heart of a coaching leader is that it's not you that have to be comfortable with your people getting better than you are. So the whole idea is this. I kind of messed it up, but it says this. It's not that you are just comfortable with your people being better than you are. You actually desire them to be more comfortable. Do you see that? I mean, think about that. It's not that you have to get comfortable with people being better than you are. You've got a desire that they get better at it than you are. I love teaching kids from the stage. I like being the storyteller. But what I started desiring is getting some people who could do it better than I could. And I built a team of storytellers so that I didn't have to be on the stage every week. I had people who were great at reading other people and loving people and caring with people. And I poured my heart into them and got them to desire the things that I desired and push the way I push. And you know what? Pretty soon I had people that could be on the floor and I could go to worship service. See, in our children's ministry, our goal is not just to guide, but to inspire our team and our volunteers to reach their full potential in Jesus. We want to encourage them to lead in their rooms with their small groups and celebrate the success and the bonds that they create. Seeing them thrive and grow will not only benefit the whole ministry, but it's going to enrich the experience for them and for the kids and families that you serve. Again, you want to retain volunteers, help them to be better at things than even you are. All right, that's going to get ready to wrap up. And I want to conclude by this: a leader's effectiveness is determined by just two things: the decisions they make and the influence that they have. What do you want to be known for? Uh, a, a practice that I do often in coaching is asking a leader to write their obituary. What do you want people to say after you're gone? I know some of you are going, whoa, that's too morbid. I can't do that. But I want you to think about it. If your effectiveness is going to be judged by two things, the decisions that you've made and the influence you've had, what decisions did you make? And how did they impact your team and your ministry? And who did you have influence on? Every decision, from curriculum choices to event planning, shapes your ministry impact. I want you to reflect on how you can weave trust and inspiration, creativity and curiosity, compassion into your leadership style. And your influence will be felt across everything that you do, every lesson that's taught, every connection that's made. So think about it. What decisions do you need to make, even if they're hard? And what kind of influence are you going to have when you make those decisions? So here's a couple reflective questions that you might want to write down. What opportunities do you see in your ministry that you really are passionate about pursuing in 2025? Second one is, how can I improve my self leadership to foster a more effective and team that owns what they do? And how do we elevate our leadership influence in your own ministry and in your own community? I could think of a couple action steps as I conclude this. One, you need to schedule some time to do a self leadership review. If you're bold, ask a couple people who are closest to you, what's it like being on the other side of me? What decision do you feel like I made that really helped push the ministry forward? What's a decision that I haven't made that's holding us back? If you need some help with this, I would encourage you to set up a clarity call at kmccoach.net. I would be glad to sit with you and chat with you about these kind of things. This is what we do on a coaching journey. We walk through these kind of things. Maybe that's one of your next steps is you need to get a coach. You need to get some new perspective from the outside, someone to listen and hear what you're doing and ask some questions, offer some pushback, give you some new perspective. If you're struggling with scarcity mindset, sometimes it helps having someone else to hear it so that you can break through it. I know my coach did that for me. All right. Well, if there's anything I can do for you, my friends, I'm here for you. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, I would love for you to subscribe. If you haven't left a review yet, man, would you please take 5 minutes and just leave us a review? Or if you don't want to do the review or you're not sure how to do it, you can send me an email at tom@tombump.com. I would love to know how this episode or other episodes have helped you. I would love to know if you know of something that you'd like to hear about. because we're building our 2025 as we record this. We're in December of 2024. But if you would like to help us build our next season of podcasts, we would love to hear some of the episodes that you would love to be listening to. If there's anything we can do for you, please reach out though. Again, my email is tom@tombump.com. You can check out all the things at kidsministrycollective.com. Or if you're ready to join our membership and get into the room with a bunch of high level leaders to grow yourself and to gain new perspectives and start thinking and talking like a leader, then come check out kidminplus.net. It's affordable and it's powerful, and it's the community that you need that needs you. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. Again, thanks for listening, my friends, and stay tuned for another episode real soon.